hello, and welcome to the Royal Horticultural Society's Chelsea Flower Show 2026, an event supported by Range Rover.
Fresh from Main Avenue, I'm swapping my role as show garden designer to join you, Monty, and I am delighted to be back.
Well, it's lovely to have you back. How was it as an experience?
Well, as an experience, as you know, doing a show garden is tiring.
No, it's not tiring, it's utterly exhausting.
It is, but you know,
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed the experience, and you know, I'm a chatterbox, a little bit talked out, but ready to kind of go and explore other gardens.
All right, let's go. Come on.
Good.
Let's crack on.
Okay, so tonight we're focusing on a subject close to my heart, Monty, because not only are there many of the designers and exhibitors embracing creativity and innovation, but they are also encouraging us to do the same in our own gardens.
Now, a really good example of that is the garden behind us, which is the Cleary Gottlieb Time for Creativity garden, designed by Christina Cobb. Now, the first really important part of this garden is that you take your phone out and you put it in this little tray, so that you engage with the world directly rather than through the endless medium of a phone. And that opens up all kinds of possibilities.
And what's great as well, Monty, this garden has brought the studio here in the centre of the garden, so I can come in, do some craft work, get the activity of using one's hands and brain in a different way.
It's very beautifully made, although I have to say I would use it as a greenhouse, because of course gardening is a craft.
I know you would.
And the planting changes, you've got Lysimachia Beaujolais, an old friend, these lovely soft colours, but everything here is handmade.
And that is what we're enjoying. We want to be outside, getting off the screen and being in the moment. I think that's what people are forgetting, to truly be in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely that. But this isn't the only space. It's packed with artistic influence. There's more. Come this way, Monty.
Right, lead on.
Over here is the sea salt painted garden designed by Lynn James, who has been inspired by the artists of the St Ives School.
Now, for me, immediately leaping out from that is this sort of sub-Barbara Hepworth sculpture, made apparently from a fallen ash. And that sort of sets the tone, although I guess colour is the main thing.
Well, colour is the main thing, and the designer has picked that up on some upcycled materials here, these filing cabinets, because in that post-war time, artists had to be very resourceful. So, you know, just use that as a detail.
Of course, these great figures didn't have any money, didn't have any resources, but using the planting in a painterly way is good, and everything, all the colours of, you know, the different colours painted of the filing cabinets. Working with the planting. The other thing which I think this garden exemplifies is these are small spaces. You cannot do everything. Do one thing and do it well, and do it strongly. And that certainly happens. And you can see that almost every part of this garden is vivid and bright. And it's just one example of how the palette of colours here at Chelsea is expanding, as Jamie has been discovering.
One of the main trends I'm picking up on from Chelsea this year is that colour is back. And no more so than in the Boodles garden, designed by Catherine MacDonald. This planting is bold, it's elegant, it's regal, it's royal, it's full. This garden is bursting with colour. When it comes to choosing what plants go into a show garden, a lot of thought goes into it, from where the plants would naturally grow, what plants would naturally grow together, what colours work well together, but then also what these colours represent. And what Catherine's done here is celebrated the Royal Historic Palaces and used plants like this Irish superstition here that are to represent the feathers of a raven from the Tower of London. And the reds, in particular, this beautiful claret peony, this is peony Buckeye Bell. These represent the damask wallpaper at Hampton Court and Kensington Palace. And it's impactful. So when you stand back and look at the garden as a whole, you just see this riot of curated colour. Using colour in a garden can actually be quite difficult, but Catherine's created this masterclass of how to use it with brilliant effect. She's actually segregated the two colours out here. She's got the purples at the front and the reds at the back, and throughout the rest of the garden everything's clustered into its own colour groups. So you can see each colour defined. The trick is, and if you're going to try and do this at home, is use green plants, and they act as a foil that sets off the colours of these salvias and irises and verbascums. So in the middle we've got artemisias, libresia, and then this festuca amifestina. 3 very simple plants that glue this palette together and make it joyful, uplifting, and it just makes you feel great. On the Alzheimer's Society garden, Tina has used colour in a very different way. She's using colour to soften the garden, using delicate peaches, soft pinks, and just an accent of blue through the mysotis, which softens and calms this space completely. Tina has even used colour in the trees that she's chosen. This is Malus tickled pink, which is an eating apple, but also at this time of year has the most beautiful pink blossom. It transforms the space and shows no matter how big or small your garden is, you can bring colour in there that works for you and your space.
One of the most eye-catching designs here is the Project Giving Back garden by James Bassel. It is unlike anything ever seen here before. It's striking, rugged and wild, just like the place that inspired it, the south of France.
For me, the Chelsea Flower Show was a big dream. I started in 2012. I've had 4 goals. This will be my 6th Chelsea Flower Show garden. I did my last garden in 2017. Got Best in Show on Main Avenue. And it really helped me make a name for myself. So I was really, really grateful for this opportunity. My name is James Basson. This year we're making a garden for Project Giving Back. Project Giving Back is this charitable organisation that have funded 60 gardens and 60 charities, and then those gardens have been broken down and then rebuilt somewhere. I've lived and worked in the south of France for the last 25 years. As a kid, I walked these hills. I was brought up half down here, and I spent my time drawing these landscapes. And I'm extraordinarily drawn to the toughness, the barrenness, the meanness. And what excites me the most is to see how things are doing so well. So my garden this year at Chelsea, it's a garden born out of a tough, difficult environment. The hope is that you get a sense of that resilience.
Rumble, come on.
Resilience for me is almost like a moment when you've overcome. Maybe there's a sense of renewal, you've survived, you've managed to overcome difficulties, got your mojo back, everything is starting to roll again, and it's that kind of beauty of resilience that I'm really excited by and I'm really interested in demonstrating. This year's flower show is based on a landscape that a friend showed me one Sunday morning. You wander through this woodland and out pops the ochre mines of Provence. They're these very dramatic ochre cliffs. Ochre is a compacted sandstone, and the extraordinary thing about this material is it's quite soft, and so the wind and the rain is constantly cleaning it. So they keep their resonance. They're constantly bright and brilliant. This material was used to create a very concentrated amount of ochre, which is used in renders and painting. Commercial mining stopped about 60 years ago, and so they've been left to rest. And it's within this 60 years, this new landscape has evolved. Through this landscape has come a pine forest. So there's this rare moment where you can see the mineral landscape dissolving and the vegetation landscape evolving. Here we're looking for the character of the vegetation. It's something we want to bring to the Chelsea Flower Show. So already I've seen things like Cistus laurifolius. My favourite plant in this landscape because it's got this metallic grey-green quality to it. It reflects the light, And I really feel that this could be a gem of a plant. Having seen the Ochre Cliffs, it's still quite an uncomfortable space. It's not somewhere where I feel people will look at it and think, oh, I'd love to be there. So I'm going to a garden I designed 7 years ago to learn how to create something which is of a similar character. Here in Gord, nature and garden have blended. And so I really wanted to see how that's working, so we can just tune down the wildness, the messiness, to the point where people feel welcome into this garden. The particular challenge of this landscape is the fact that there's no soil. So the fact that this landscape is made of stone, it really gave us the chance to use gravel as the overall material. It runs under the plants, creating a kind of mulch, allowing our plants to self-seed well. So it's a real kind of methodology that we use to look at landscape and bring them into gardens. And this garden is a real proof for me that it's a method that works. And so by looking at the ochre mines, understanding how those plants are working, I'm pretty sure that we're going to make something that has a real authenticity, which I think will sing well at Chelsea. It's a vast amount of red rock that we're going to try and build in a week. This is the area of the garden which will be made of willow and poplar, and there'll be a small stream running through, and that gives us a real chance to show a different type of vegetation in this landscape. So we're using Pinus sylvestris, but there's also Pinus halepensis and Pinus pinasta. And of course thyme, scabious, plants that are going to give a little bit of a sparkle at the foot of the cliffs. The big challenge is these rocks. They've got an enormous presence. Now we have to bring this to the public in a way that will be as dramatic. Every time I come here, the thing that really inspires me is that this mineral landscape is disappearing and the vegetation is renewing the landscape. It's overcoming the potential hardships that happened here. There's this real sense of positivity that all this tough, hard mineral landscape will slowly disappear. That tone and texture is what really will hopefully sing true and really tell the story of resilience, renewal. Hopefully there's a quiet resonance with Project Giving Back's work. You get that?
Well, here it is, the finished garden. And I think it's only fair to say that at this year's Chelsea, this has attracted more comment, not all of it good, than any other garden. How does it feel for you, having done it?
Project Giving Back called me in 6 months ago to make a garden. And I said, I really don't have time, and so I've got one thing for you. Yeah. And if you're happy to do that, then let's give it a whirl. And I said, but by the way, it's not normal.
Yeah.
It's not what people expect at Chelsea. And they said, we want to bring attention to all the great work that Project Giving Back has done over the last 5 years, 63 charities. And so here we are.
I actually think it's fascinating on two levels, and we can talk about that. The first is these ochre quarries are so extraordinary.
Yeah, amazing.
And the story of the regeneration.
Yeah. So a mate of mine took me for a walk after lunch, and he said, would you just come and have a look at this, James? I really think this is special. And we entered this woodland, and I was blown away. It was unbelievable to see this landscape. And kind of what is so amazing for me is that materiality, which is so soft and crumbling. And so the hard materials, the structure is just dissolving back into the landscape.
How did you make the hard materials here?
So we couldn't transport a piece of Roussillon to here. So with a very clever team with Mark Wyman Landscapes, they made this big metal structure, and then we pre-rendered it. So Guy Valentine came with 10 men, and in 2 days re-rendered this whole landscape. He'd been to France, he'd been to see the landscape, he'd understood it, and then we just let him at it.
Do you feel that the story, which, you know, we've seen this film, which is fascinating, completely fascinating. needs to be explained to people for them to appreciate it as a garden? Because this is the other question, the other debate, is what is a garden?
Yeah.
When is a garden not a garden?
Yeah.
Is that something you want to engage in?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm here, I'm standing out front, I'm showing photos,
Yeah.
we're sharing the kind of stories so people understand it, because we do know it's a bit of a challenge to imagine this as a garden. Whether this is a garden, Monty, is kind of maybe for you to say, but for me, it's a garden as soon as you bring humanity in.
I agree.
So as soon as there's a touch of care,
Yeah.
be it a broom,
Yes.
it's gardened and therefore it's a garden.
But of course, whilst I agree with you, a lot of people say, no, that's
Yeah.
not a
That's
proper
not a
garden.
garden, where the
That's not
rose
a
is."
garden, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's kind of challenging, is great to see. Now, how does that relate to Project Giving Back?
So Project Giving Back, have done this 5 years, 63 charities supporting an enormous amount of people with this incredible quiet energy. And this landscape for me has been about this very quiet and slow energy which is reviving quite a damaged landscape, quite a challenged space. But when you come back into this landscape, you really feel this extraordinary quality and beautiful space. And I think Project Giving Back has done that. They've brought this new energy, this new kind of fire to Chelsea, and to 63 charities all around Britain have been touched by their very graceful energy.
Well, I think this garden is completely stimulating.
Thank you.
And I rather love it.
Thank you very much.
I hope lots of people see it and share that message about Project Giving Back. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Monty. Thank you.
This is the greatest place for growers to exhibit their finest plants, some of which are brand new varieties never seen before. Carol's been to hunt just a few of them out, so get your notepads at the ready because you're going to want them in your garden. One of the most exciting aspects of coming to Chelsea is that we can see for ourselves brand new varieties that nobody's ever seen before. But when they've been tried and tested, then they're brought to Chelsea, and I'd love to introduce you to a few of them. Exhibit number 1 is this glorious clematis. It's called mochi. It was bred in Japan. What happens is thousands of seeds are sown. From those, some are selected, and the selection carries on until finally there are 2 or 3 left, and they're all tried and tested to make sure they're strong and robust. It starts off with its flowers completely single, at which stage it's really good for insects because it can be pollinated. But then something magical happens. Gradually, these petals or petaloids build up so that you've got this wonderful sort of frilly centre. And what's more, the petals, well, they're actually sepals of the plant, are sort of lined and veined with intricate markings. Make sure when you plant clematis, any clematis, including this one, that the roots are cool and the top is in the sun. It'll reach about 2 meters high if you want it to, or you could let it scramble over a low shrub. And who wouldn't want to see these glorious single flowers that change gradually to being fully double in all its glory. Exhibit number 2 is this stupendous Streptocarpus here on Diddley's stand. It's called Sirius, and it represents years and years of breeding and selection. But what's exceptional about it? It's got the most wonderful striations on its petals, and it's fully double. Just make sure that it's in a warm place, out of direct sunlight, and water it only when it needs it, and don't let it stand in water. Exhibit 3. This is Polemonium Violet Heart, and no breeding was involved in this. Mother Nature bred it. This was found as a seedling in a Norfolk garden. What's so different about it? Well, first of all, this has pale lilac petals and this deep violet centre, giving it its name. As far as looking after it, it's a true herbaceous perennial. Dig plenty of organic matter in when you put it in, water it when it really needs it, and mulch it really well.
So 3 brand new introductions, as seen only at the Chelsea Flower Show.
Now, one of the many wonderful things about this show is that for 1 week in May, the horticultural world comes together to share ideas, support one another, and really importantly, inspire the next generation of growers coming through. And one Chelsea icon who epitomises this more than most is RHS Vice President Jekka McVicker. And Francis has been to catch up with this phenomenal plant woman who, incidentally, grew many of the herbs for her curious garden.
Jekka, we made it, and your plants made it.
You've made it in style. I cannot take my hat off enough to you.
I have loved working with your plants on this garden, and I don't know if you've seen, but on the front, that's kind of my Jekka's corner. You have had an incredible career in horticulture, though, Jekka.
I've had the most wonderful 40 plus years. I really have. It's not a career, it is a living. My mother is my main influence. I cannot actually say that she was a great gardener, but being a child of the 50s, we had to be sustainable. And I could chop up herbs before I could go to school and identify herbs, because she used them not just for cooking, but for the children's well-being.
So you always had herbs, but how did you actually make that transition into a career as a horticulturist?
A girlfriend comes in and says, can I help myself to some French tarragon? I said, yes. I had a light bulb moment. I can grow that.
So it was French tarragon that started it all?
It was French tarragon, yes.
I love French tarragon. Who were your influences as females in horticulture?
There were 2 prominent people that you would know. Penny Hobhouse, and she was Penny to me because I knew her as a child, taught me about colour. And Beth Chatter, right plant, right place.
Are there any particular kind of moments through your career that you look back on and are particularly proud of, or fond memories?
Getting my first gold here, I was camping in Battersea Car Park. Everyone camped in those days. Yeah, the friendship we made then, it has stayed with us, just like the school run, but it's more so.
How have you seen women in horticulture and their role changed through your career?
We are a small gang. I would like to say it was better than it is, because if you look at the Great Pavilion, how many nurseries in there are run by women?
What do you think the future holds for women in horticulture?
The future is all about passing on the knowledge. To encourage women to come into this industry, we have to give them the skills. We've started a thing called Hortistry, which is us elderly nurserymen passing on our skills. And then that will give women the chance. But I actually think for women, the only way forward is in the cooperative, to make a cooperative so that you can balance children and work and everything. Because plants are 7 days a week, and that is the future.
Amazing stuff. And did you know Jekka's actually won 62 RHS medals across her career, including 14 goals here at Chelsea, a true icon. And speaking of award-winning, it's time now to reveal who the RHS has chosen as the winner of the Best Small Show Garden 2026. Here's the moment the Director General of the RHS, Claire Mattison, surprised them with the award.
And you have got RHS Chelsea Flower Show Best Small Garden of the Year Award. Hooray!
taking a look at this garden, you wouldn't really know that it's been inspired by London, but that's what's really clever about it. Take a look at the back wall. It's actually oystercrete, and that's referencing the oyster trade that used to be prevalent in our city. And then there's things like using Portland stone and this lovely verdigris copper, which we'd find in the sort of financial district of London. But this is a pocket park, and this designer wants us to be able to ensure that in the future we've got the planting that's going to actually work in our cities. So using things like the fennel, and there's the bascums, even plantago that many of us think of as weeds. But the one thing I really like is that under our city there's all of these hidden rivers, about 20 of them, that have been re-diverted, and the designer has cleverly used a water feature to depict that. Hello, Joe.
Hi there.
I know Laura's had to go home, so you know, obviously this is a big congratulations to her, because this is your third gold and your third best in category. So I've got to give congratulations straight away.
Yeah, we're really super proud. It's, as you know, it's a lot of work. So yeah, we're really pleased to have got to this point, definitely.
No, you've done so well. Now, what I really have enjoyed about this garden is how you've drawn those references of London into the garden. I mean, tell me, how did you both work together to do that?
I think we both have different sort of disciplines within the design industry, and we've sort of come together, and we've just found that it works. We work really well together as a couple, and you know, I think we know our remits, and we try not to tread on each other's toes too much as well.
Exactly, it is a lot of hard work. So if we think about the future, when you've done a lot of show gardens here now in your small category, do you think you're going to upgrade and go on to Main Avenue?
I think, I would hope so. In the not too distant future, that would definitely be, I don't want to say a lot of fun, because as you know, it's not always fun. But yeah, we have the ambition, I think, to do that soon.
Well, I really hope that we're going to see both of you again here at Chelsea on Main Avenue.
Thank you.
Now, this is an exhibit I don't think you'd normally expect to find here in the Great Pavilion. It's by the Chelsea Physic Garden Florilegium Society, a group of artists that document botanical specimens growing in the Chelsea Physic Garden with drawing and painting. Now, this is in the tradition of botanic painting. And the whole point of that was it documented the plants before photography. We've only photographed them successfully for about the last 150 years. So for centuries, people painted and drew plants to record them, to know what they actually look like, and they became the definitive version. So if you found a plant, you wanted to know what it was, you looked at these paintings. So they have a purpose. They're an illustration, but in the process, they've become this exquisite jewel-like art form. And I have to say, I just think they're a joy.
Oh, you're here.
I am, isn't it, on these wonderful?
Oh, amazing. So lovely. Love them.
Absolutely wonderful. Now, still to come tonight on the RHS Chelsea Flower Show 2026, an event supported by Range Rover. Rachel reveals the winner of the coveted title of RHS Chelsea Florist of the Year.
Adam is back to show you ingenious ways to upgrade the ordinary materials in your garden to transform every corner into a considered piece of design.
And I will be talking to the Dragon's Den star, Deborah Meaden, about what she enjoys most about her garden and her lifelong commitment to promoting sustainability.
But first, early this morning, Monty and I took a stroll down Serpentine Way to see how some of the balcony garden designers have found solutions to the challenge that many of us face, especially in urban areas, a lack of space.
This is a little garden of shared knowledge designed by Caterina Cantalis. And the idea is to have a garden where children can learn about plants. And looking everywhere, the height is for little hands.
Perfect. Look at these hands. They'll be able to get in here and all these edibles, and they'll be like that, won't they? I mean,
well, I know my grandchildren forever putting things in their mouth. Hopefully the right things from doing it. But it's full of interesting things. Although there is also that one incredible design tip, which works, but people always get wrong. If you've got a small space, put something big in it.
Yeah.
Makes it seem bigger. And that central piece holds all these little bits and pieces together.
Well, it's so important because it's only 5 by 2 metres. And the thing is also, Monty, this won Best Balcony and Container. And I can see why.
I know, it's lovely.
Attention to detail.
It's lovely.
Now, this is Fettercairn, the Angel Share, designed by May Sterry.
Now, the Angel Share, of course, is the part of whiskey when you fill it up to the cask, the barrel, seal it, you open it up again later when it's ready, and summer's gone.
Ah.
And that's evaporation. It's said for the Angel Share. And I just noticed this. This is the Angel. And of course, at Chelsea, when it's got gnomes this year, and you can see he's delighted at having drunk his whiskey.
He's had your portion.
The whole garden, of course, is based around whiskey. But the thing I like most, actually, is the wall behind, because that's lime plastered.
Yep.
And it means it's changing. As it gets wet, it's changing colour. And in Chelsea, which is obsessed by fixing things, nice to have something that cannot be fixed.
No, well, I agree on the colour, but I like how it's been framed by the copper piping. You've got this lovely frame here. And, of course, all the colours in the planting are reflective of these warm tones of the whiskey. And we are standing on a resin cork floor. Bit different.
Good. There's a sense of playfulness about this. I like that.
And him, he likes it.
Yeah, well, he likes it. He's obviously
it.
had a very happy time. And this is the Tales from the Riverbank Garden. It's designed by Susie Kennedy and Kate Henning, and I believe it's Kate that lives on a houseboat.
It is, and I think you can see how she's brought the whole charm of that onto this space. It's absolutely delightful.
Well, I was talking to them earlier, and they were telling me how they've reused everything from their homes. They've made things, scaffolding planks for the walls and the floors. And that kind of creative energy and sort of zest come through, doesn't it?
Well, it's so important, you know, to have your personality in a garden.
Yeah.
But look up, though, Monty, because very clever use of having that upper balcony.
I was walking by here on Sunday, and immediately I thought, yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
that's really good. One little tiny detail is that I really like to see this contorted hazel. It's one of my favourite little shrubs. It's great.
Very good. While these gardens make the most of small spaces outside, over in the Great Pavilion, Rachel has been exploring cutting-edge design for inside the home as she looks at the floral creations of those competing to be named RHS Chelsea Florist of the Year.
The theme this year is Floristry Laboratory. It's all about how science and nature meet and how the one inspires the other. The judges love them so much, there are 3 gold medals. Vanessa, how do you feel about being a gold medal winner?
It's amazing. I genuinely hadn't thought about that part of it. You get so swept up in the process that when I arrived yesterday morning and saw that card there, I was just... There was people already here that knew me, that had seen it before me, so to have that reaction with them was really, really lovely.
Tell me a bit about it.
So this is an imagined laboratory setting where nature has reclaimed the space, and so everything has kind of got an origin to it. There's a story for all of the materials, but everything I do is seasonal, so this is really setting the time and place of this imagined laboratory setting.
Well, you in turn have made all of us happy just looking at this. It's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
This extraordinary design by Helen James Flowers is called Fusion and Fission. It's about that moment when atoms explode and you get that incredible energy. And the colours here, they really speak of that. It's brilliant. Also, even the glass test tubes that the flowers go into, they look like the end of a rocket, so firework display is absolutely brilliant. Jade, I see a lovely shiny gold medal down here and RHS Chelsea Florist of the Year, which is wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How did you feel that moment you see Keith Weed coming towards you? What was that like?
Oh my gosh, just all the emotions going on. I'd come in, I'd walked into the gold, which was phenomenal in itself. Never in my wildest dreams did I think it was going to be Florist of the Year.
I think this is wonderful. It's mesmerising. Can you describe some of the thinking behind the design?
Yeah, so my title was Nature Magnified. My concept was always the notion of plant cells under a microscope. sort of looking at that unseen level of nature. It's quite taken with the geometry that you see in that close-up of cells, so that's where the circles come from.
I'm intrigued. How did you get the transparency on these discs?
So a lot of them are handmade papers, so they're layered fibres, mulberry fibre, seeds. They're pressed into paper sheets.
Perhaps the star of the display are the orchids.
Yeah.
I mean, they are stunning.
I feel like I've been really spoilt with these.
Well, so many congratulations. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I can see that it's a winning display. And are we going to see you again next year?
I think you probably will. You might just need to give me a week to think about it.
Now, my next guest is a huge advocate of the benefits of engaging with the great outdoors. In fact, as a busy businesswoman, she ensures that she starts every day by taking a stroll through her garden in Somerset in her bare feet to be grounded with the earth. It's a daily ritual that apparently she swears by. So it's no wonder she is a regular here at the Chelsea Flower Show. Please welcome Deborah Meaden. Deborah, brilliant that you walk in bare feet. Does that mean we should all be walking in bare feet in our gardens?
I think we should touch the earth a little bit more often. You know, it makes a big difference to me. Like you say, busy life. But to start the day, and it isn't just about being barefoot in the garden, it's about being still. You know, when we live in this world, this fast-moving world, you know, it's quite nice. Just take a moment to hear the birds, pay attention to what's going around you, and have your feet in the grass.
Tell me a little bit about your garden. In Somerset, you say?
Yes.
Describe it to me.
So it was a farm. So when we bought it, it really didn't have a garden. 26 acres, and the house is in the middle of it. And the best way to describe it is it's very wild at the edges. So we're really keen on letting wildlife in. We've got otter, aren't we lucky?
Yeah.
So we've got lots of wildlife, lots of birds. But as you get closer to the house, it starts becoming more cultivated, you know, so around the house, and particularly the area is quite wet, so around the house we have a lot of paving, so that when I want to walk when it's actually raining, I actually get to walk on the paving.
And you walk in the rain?
Oh, well, any day. Ice, snow, rain.
And I mean, people don't, rightly or wrongly, associate extremely successful business people with gardening. I mean, they seem to be counterindicative. Is that either fair or true? I mean, should business people be gardening, and should gardeners be business people?
No, I would. So should business people be gardening? Yeah. Absolutely. I've met a lot of business people I think would benefit a lot from doing gardening. Right. I'm better.
How? Why?
Well, I know I am better. So in this busy world where you do have to have an organised mind, you know, I know I've got a lot going on. I think to start your day well is very, very important, and just to make sure you kind of reset. And that's what gardening does for me. The other thing I would say about gardening is that in business, people can get very impatient and very anxious. I can shout at those plants as much as I like. They are not growing any faster. So it teaches patience and resilience and long-termism. No, I think gardening is a brilliant thing for business.
So you come here to Chelsea regularly with your shoes on, I have to say, very nice shoes too.
Shoes, then.
Yeah, but what is it that you get from Chelsea and are looking for?
Well, it's very annoying for Phil. So Phil looks after, it's my head gardener. And what I do, I come back from Chelsea with lots of new ideas. So the garden is all going to change, obviously. And then Phil waits for 2 weeks. And if I'm still going on about it, then he does it. And if I've just forgotten it, because of course there's just so many amazing gardens, you know, but I do look for new plants. You know, and new planting, because what can happen, certainly in our garden, we have a holding bed, and we tend to get more of the same. So we're constantly cultivating the same plants, and it's very nice to come and see a slightly different thing. And I think actually I could use that in that spot in the garden.
And I know that sustainability is very important to you, and that you've been involved with those awards. Tell me about that.
So I like to tell everybody I'm a judge at Chelsea Flower Show, but I have to clarify that. So it's for sustainable businesses. So sustainable lifestyle product of the year, sustainable business of the year, and that's what I've been doing this morning. And it's fantastic to see. The thing I say is that if you love your garden, you've got a better chance of understanding what's happening in the world and what's happening in nature, and seeing businesses that are deeply, deeply tackling sustainability. So not on a shallow level, but you know, the winner of the Sustainable Product of the Year, which I presented this morning. It's a wooden planter, beautiful wooden planter, but it's made from recycled wood and it's made to last, and it doesn't have any of the nasties impregnated in it. You know, so and Silic, which is a tea that you make from wildflower, organic wildflower meadows. You know, and that's again, it's not just about the tea; it's about the insects that will be helping. You know, so I love seeing the depth at which sustainability is now reaching into businesses.
Well, I think it's a very noble enterprise. Enjoy the rest of Chelsea. I hope you have time just not to judge, not to rest, but to find your new plants. And thank you very much for talking to me.
Thank you. I've
Thank you.
thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Next, former doctors David and Gal Shields have made their return to RHS Chelsea after a 7-year break, hoping to bring something very special to the Great Pavilion, creating not one, but 4 Primula Auricular theatres. We caught up with them at their home in the Lake District as they prepared to make the exhibit made it. It looks fantastic. Are you pleased?
Yes, we're delighted.
And how was it, the journey down? Was it really...
Cold. Gal had her gloves on and thermal leggings, and I don't feel the cold so much.
Oh.
But it kept the auriculas looking fine.
Well, they do look amazing. And what medal did you get as a result?
We got a gold.
Oh, that's fantastic. But which ones of these then have become your favourites, or that some of the visitors have liked?
At the moment, my favourite is Ice Cap, which just opens, it's a double, it opens cream and goes bluer and bluer and bluer as it matures.
And have you got a favourite as well,
I think
David?
my favourites are the edged auriculas, which are the hardest to grow. So, for example, Star Wars #1 and Greylag, which are not so easy to grow as the others, so I wouldn't recommend those for starters. But the beauty of those is the detail on the flower is caused by what they call farina, or flour, which creates a slight dusting on the petals. And if it rains on it, that all gets washed off.
Oh.
So you lose the definition of the flower completely.
So we've been hand watering all the auriculas for quite a few weeks now, so we don't damage the flowers.
Oh, I see. Well, there's obviously so much love in these. I can tell that. And I'm so thrilled for you to have a gold medal. And I really hope we're going to see you back here again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Plant breeding has been an essential component of gardening, certainly in Britain, for at least the last 200 years and longer. And essentially, you are taking 2 natural plants as found in the wild and crossing them to get their best characteristics. And this is a good example. This is an antirrhinum, a snapdragon, called Shiryu Kiss, a new introduction that claims, and I'm sure it is, to be more floriferous, hardier, to have better foliage colour, better resistance to pests and disease, therefore ticking all the boxes that gardeners want from this plant. So what I thought I'd do is go and talk to a couple of breeders and see what that involves. I've come to Harkness Roses to talk to Philip Harkness about how roses in particular are bred. For those that have no idea how a new rose is created, can you just briefly run us through that?
Yeah, it's a very simple process, and all we're doing is speeding up nature. We have a flower which we take the male parts away, which is the pollen. We then select the pollen from another rose, and with a paintbrush we pick up the pollen and we apply it to the female. We're looking for health, we're looking for plant habit, we're looking for perfume, colour, something that doesn't fade badly, all the characteristics that make the rose one of the most beautiful garden plants.
Have some roses had a sort of more troublesome development?
In 1994, we stopped using any fungicides to prevent disease in our trials. We were the second nursery, I think, internationally to do that. We want to see the disease. When we are testing and trialling them, we give them a tough time.
It sounds counterintuitive to want to see the problems of the rose, doesn't it?
Yes, but if I have all the problems and you don't, we're both happy.
Now, the Duke of Edinburgh rose features strongly this year. What were the characteristics?
The Youth Without Limits rose, it loves sunshine, has pink shades and amber shades, and the more sunshine it gets, the more the colour changes, and as the flower ages it goes pinker and pinker, and it's just magical the way the colours can change. It's one of the beauties of nature.
I've come to Siena Hosta to chat to Chris Potts about the huge diversity of hostas. Chris, just to start with, how many different hostas do you have in all here at the nursery?
Here we've just got a couple of hundred, but at the nursery we have a couple of thousand different varieties.
And how do you breed hostas? What's the propagation process?
So for us, they're from sport, so it's like a genetic mutation.
Okay, let's just be clear, because there'll be people watching who don't know what a sport is.
Okay, so that's a plant that's just, if you grow 100 plants on the nursery, one might come out ever so slightly differently, a slightly different colour.
But are certain colours more popular? Do they go in and out of fashion?
I love the blues, which grow in really, really deep shade. And the deeper the shade you give a blue hosta, the stronger that blue will be.
You see, that's a really good bit of advice for people.
And a lot of the blue hostas, people put them in sunshine and then they go green. So, and then you put them back in the shade properly and then they go back to their full bloom.
So these 2,000 different hostas you have are the result of hundreds of thousands of permutations.
Sure, absolutely. And what I find really interesting is at the shows, people come and show us pictures of their collections at home. And you're looking at a plant and they're asking you to identify it. And you think, I don't really quite know what that is. And they could just be innocently sat there with a brand new hosta and not even realise it.
They won't now. They'll be watching. They'll all be rushing out to their hostas and having a look.
Indeed.
Thanks very much for talking to me. Thank you.
Every night, Adam has been getting back to basics as he deconstructs the key elements of garden design. Tonight, he's showing us how to elevate humble materials so that every part of your garden, from the walls to the floor, make a real statement.
It fascinates me when we come to creating gardens. That selection of materials is not always the first thing on our minds. You know, we want to go down a garden centre, we want to buy the trees, the shrubs, the perennials, the colour, and that selection of materials that ultimately is going to set the tone for our gardens maybe doesn't get quite as much thought as it should do. But where do you start? First of all, it's about understanding. So what I mean by that is the materials you're choosing are going to be on the surfaces and the verticals, so the walls, the fences, and maybe any structures you're going to put into the garden. After that, the most important thing is how the light moves through your space. And what I mean by that is, say that wall behind me, that faces north, and I put a real dark paving down as my terrace colour, that's going to suck in any light and it's going to feel slightly depressive, especially through the winter months. So that selection is so important. As I said, it sets the tone. So, when it comes to that architectural tie, at the moment, yeah, we've got red brick, but that could be render, stone, whatever. We chose our paving. Here we've gone for a grey, it tones in really nicely. How do we then repeat? Well, maybe a brick edge around that terrace and then a brick path, maybe a brick wall. So ultimately, all we're trying to do is just glue the garden together, you know, and then it just feels good. I think next up is the number of materials. I would never overdo it in a garden. 2, 3, 4 maybe in a bigger space. But also when you're choosing them, and remember that selection drives how the garden feels. What I mean by that is reclaimed material. It feels quite traditional. Maybe smooth, polished concrete is really, really modern. And then really texture and finish. Here we've got a lovely smooth finish, down here we've got texture. You start playing with those textures and finishes. Above me is the last thing. If I was adding a structure like this in the garden, I wouldn't do it in isolation. You know, maybe the arbour sits down the bottom of the garden. So maybe I'll have a nice steel arch just on the way down. So really it's not necessarily about the materials you choose, it's how you put them together.
Now it's time to answer some of your questions. And Arit, I've got one for you to answer first. This is from Katie on Facebook, and she says, unfortunately my cherry tree came down in the winds. I'd like to plant another tree with some blossom and autumn colour. I have a small garden. Any recommendations?
Well, it's good old crab apples. I mean, can't go wrong with the crab apples, or maybe a Judas tree.
Yeah, I mean, both of them wonderful. I am a great fan of medlar too.
Yeah.
Another small tree with a good fruit. But crab apples are fantastic.
Very good. Okay, so we've got Terry on Facebook. This is definitely for you. My Tithonia seeds won't grow. Why?
Well, Tithonia are a bit tricky. The first thing is you need heat to germinate. If you sow the seeds, they must have around about 20 degrees or more. So above a radiator or on a pad. The second thing is when they get to the pricking out stage, if you overwater them, they really are likely to drop and die. And so don't overwater. If you can, water from below, but heat is the answer. Cool. Okay, here's one for you. After Chelsea last year, I fell in love with echinots, don't we all? But I'm struggling to get them to thrive. Any tips?
Any tips? Well, that would be don't overwater them. Make sure they are in well-drained soil, because often they can just get too soggy in clay.
Do you know, I grow them in heavy clay and
well,
they're happy.
Yeah, but what's your watering regime on them?
I never water them.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. They're like heat and drainage, don't they?
Exactly.
Yes. Quickly, we can do one more.
Okay, so one for you, because sweet peas are all about you. This is Jan on Facebook.
Yeah.
I have sweet peas growing for the first time. Do I just leave them or nip them out?
Well, in principle, early on in the year, you want to pinch out sweet peas to encourage side shoots. But it's getting a bit late for that. If you've got them and they are growing in the ground, don't pinch them out, just tie them up and let them flower. Sweet peas need water and cool. So that's the important thing, water them well.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's for today, but please keep the questions coming in. We will try and answer as many as we can, and the best way to do it is on social media using the hashtag AskBBCChelsea.
And well, that's just about it for tonight. Nikki and Angelica are back tomorrow at 2 o'clock on BBC One, where they'll be helping you save time and effort in your garden.
And Arit and I will be here on BBC Two at 8 o'clock, when I'm going to be talking to the actor David Harewood about his newfound passion for gardening.
And we'll be celebrating the huge variety of heritage craft on display here at Chelsea. Until then, good night.
Bye-bye.